Andrea Stagg, so good to see you. So good to be with you on this Zoom.
I am very happy to be here. What are we talking about today?
I think we're
ChatGPT?
talking about artificial intelligence and the Clery Act. Is that a thing?
Are we all going to be replaced by robots? Yes,
I can't wait.
me too. It's going to make my job a lot easier. So I know we were talking offline about whether ChatGPT could write a timely warning, and I really hope that it can because that would be great for so many of my colleagues, and it would have been great for me when I was on campus. So are we going to check?
Well, so, it was interesting because we jumped onto this Zoom after we've been texting back and forth for a couple of days because, you and I, we get the privilege of working with folks from police departments and campus security, public safety from a lot of different institutions across the country. And the thing that we essentially consistently hear is there's a lot of nervousness around timely warnings and especially emergency notifications because they sometimes have to be written in the middle of the night, right? The vice president is home sleeping. The head of communications is off, on vacation for the weekend. And those folks might understandably want to have a hand in what goes to the entire institutional community. And they sometimes come in the middle of the night. They come on weekends, especially emergencies don't often happen at 2 o'clock during the, meeting that writes them, right? They happen whenever they happen. And the second challenge is that the folks who are charged with sending the timely warnings and especially the emergency notifications are also the folks who may be charged with helping to ameliorate the emergency, right? Whether it's a fire, active shooter, a weather emergency, what have you. They are the ones who are charged with trying to address the emergency. And in the middle of doing that, they're trying to type out an emergency notification and check it and cross their fingers and hope that it goes well before they send it to the entire community. And so we were thinking, God, how could we help them with that challenge? And on a whim, I put a timely warning into ChatGPT and it didn't do a bad job, right?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. Can you screen share? Do you have
Yeah.
permissions?
So
Okay.
I
I want
am
to I want to
going,
see exactly what happened.
so here we are. If you haven't been to ChatGPT, it is currently in its research mode. It is a product of a company called OpenAI. They have a partnership with Microsoft, and this is currently free. Now, will it be paid in the future? We have no idea. Will it be better in the future? Probably. So what we are working with is actually the worst that AI will be for the rest of existence. It will always be better than what we are doing now. And yet right now, it's doing a pretty good job. So I put in a request to write a timely warning for a sexual assault and an aggravated assault occurring in my first year residence hall at my alma mater. Now, just to be clear, none of this is accurate. This is not happening at SUNY Oswego, but I did it for a specific reason. So let's see how ChatGPT does. So you put into the prompt and ChatGPT immediately starts writing. Now, ChatGPT has read quite a bit of the internet, right? So it's read past timely warnings, it's read the Clery Act handbook, it's read the regulations, it's read everything that you can imagine. And so this is writing this text in real time. And it's just got a moment more, but even as I describe it, it's just about done with this timely warning.
Can I ask a question, Joe? Why did you use a real school and not Go Lakers? But why did you not use, Joe Storch University or something like that?
Yeah, because I wanted to see if it would do better than just saying Joe Storch University or Acme institution. And so even though I didn't ask it to, it went and found the SUNY Oswego Police Department phone number. It put in information for the SUNY Oswego Police Department. So I think I wouldn't have gotten that quality of information if I had just put in a fake institution. So again, all love to my alma mater. None of this is happening there. I know you have done some experimentation with Rutgers.
Disclaimer.
Disclaimers, right? And we have been using our alma maters for some of this experimentation, but what came out was pretty good, right? So it was writing about a Clery Act crime that occurred in Clery Act geography that had been reported to a campus security authority and would present a serious or continuing threat to students and faculty and staff, the campus community. It has information on how to keep yourself safe. Now, is this information the best specific to this crime? I'm not sure. And that gets us to the second point. ChatGPT is not the be all and end all for writing timely warnings.
And can I also add, like, at my institution, my last institution, and for some of my clients now, I would probably add to this at the bottom. It says, we encourage you to seek support from the counseling center. I would then provide the phone number and website for the counseling center or other resources on the campus that would be applicable. So, if there's reminders about that, if you need an escort or if you have a shuttle at night, just considering the fact of this crime and that the suspect remains at large and is considered dangerous as per the timely warning, I would say, remember that public safety or campus police escort is available between these hours, or that we have this shuttle. Here's more information about that. Or we had a ride share program at one of my institutions where if it was a certain time of night, there was a code where you could use, with a partnership with a ride share service. So I would add all of that in. But this would be a really good starting place instead of a blank page. And of course, we hope people don't have a blank page, and we recommend working with templates. But it's nice that you could just type this in and it spits out a good start.
And I think the escort service example that you use is a really good example, because ChatGPT might read 10,000 timely warnings and say, oh, you always say that an escort is available, but that might not be the case at your institution. So ChatGPT will put it in because it says, well, everybody's saying walk with a friend or in well-lit areas. Everybody's saying utilize the campus escort services. It doesn't exactly know that you don't. Now, in the future, it might. Maybe you could teach it that it does, but we thought this was a pretty good start. But then, Andrea, we started talking, well, emergency notifications are even more time sensitive, right? A timely warning you have to put out in a timely, to let folks know about these crimes and keep themselves safe from it. Emergency notification, per the regulations, should be sent out immediately upon confirmation of the emergency. So we said, let's try an emergency notification. So again, I use my alma mater. Again, this is not happening at SUNY Oswego, but I went back to ChatGPT and I asked it to write a Clery Act emergency notification at this institution for a certain emergency. This time it was a fire. And again, ChatGPT does a pretty good job. Now, one of the things that Andrea will point out is you can't just say, there's a fire, help me out.
What do I do? There's a fire at my college. What should I tell people? But the prompt is more specific than that, right? Can you scroll back up to the prompt, Joe? Right? Write a Clery Act. So telling ChatGPT, this is your reference point, a Clery Act emergency notification. And if you said alert, like, would it know which thing we're talking about? Are we talking about an emergency notification? Kind of capital E, capital N, right? Are we talking about timely warning? Or are we talking about some other alert, right? There is some other category of messaging that you do to your campus community that is not a required timely warning and it's not a required emergency notification. It's something else. Like when you tell your community, there's been a lot of bike thefts recently. Remember to lock your bike. There are bike locks that are really good that are available at the bookstore. That's not a timely warning, right? Because bike theft is not a clearly reportable crime. Unless it was a hate crime, larceny, but that's a different story. We're not going there. We're talking about, we don't have any evidence to support that. I just would be remiss to not mention it. So right, the prompt is very specific, and that's why this won't actually replace us yet, but hopefully soon.
So it did a pretty good job with the timely warning. It did a pretty good job with the emergency notification, but there are other areas of Clery Act compliance that we thought might be useful to have ChatGPT's help. So one of the things, I don't think campuses really find this to be a struggle, but it's certainly paperwork, is writing a crime log entry. So we asked ChatGPT, hey, could you write a crime log entry? Again, my alma mater, again, completely fake. This is not happening, but we put in some facts. To Andrea's point, I didn't just say, hey, this is happening. we asked it with some specificity. We referenced the Clery Act. And this may or may not be in the format you use for your crime log. But I think what ChatGPT, what OpenAI has done is looked at different crime logs that are out there and put this together. Now, here's the thing that I want to point out. This is completely wrong, right? They have added facts that don't exist in real life. So we did not say that it was male. We did not say the person was 6 feet tall. We did not say they were wearing a black hoodie and black pants. We didn't say any of that. Again, here is the prompt: a crime log entry under the Clery Act for a robbery occurring on the sidewalk outside of Onondaga Hall on the SUNY Oswego campus. And ChatGPT just made stuff up. And guess what? If you typed in this exact prompt, you might get a different answer. It might be female, might be 8 foot tall, who knows what it is. But ChatGPT is looking at a bunch of crime logs and it says, well, this might be the kind of stuff they want. So is this something you could use? It could be a start. It could be a format. It could be something where you could say, male, they're not male. Take all this stuff out and help you as a start. But it is not there yet by any means. It is not specific to the crime log formatting used by SUNY Oswego or any institution, but it was a pretty good start, but for the fact that it just made a bunch of stuff up.
And I wonder if those were common themes among the suspect descriptions: 6 feet, wearing black, male, but I noticed that it put brackets for like insert name of investigating officer, right? So why didn't it just put brackets for insert description here, such as, sex, clothing, if known, height, something like that, or enter physical description here. So it didn't do that, maybe because we didn't say write a template. Instead, if you said write a template for a crime log entry under the Clery Act, then maybe it would have more of those brackets. What do you think?
I don't know. I wonder if it's because some of the crimes that have involved individuals wearing a hoodie have had so many news articles written about it that ChatGPT looks at it and, like the don't take the elevator in a fire, it just assumes, because ChatGPT is not conscious and it doesn't understand that we as a society emphasize certain things and de-emphasize other things, and not always for the right reasons, right? Not always for appropriate reasons. And so ChatGPT doesn't know that. Ask ChatGPT if it's conscious and it'll tell you it is not. Ask ChatGPT if it feels love and it will tell you it does not. So that is why it's an interesting tool. It's been helpful, really helpful for certain things, but some not. The next thing, and the longer term thing, where I think ChatGPT is nowhere near there yet, is helping our institutions take our policies and turn them into policy statements for the annual security report, right? We hear this all the time, especially, Andrea, you hear this all the time in the area of Title IX, right? So after the 2020 regs came out, we wrote this gigantic policy, and we had to put a policy statement into the annual security report of how, under the Violence Against Women Act amendments of 2013, we respond to sexual assault, domestic violence, dating violence, and stalking. That is now quite a bit belt and suspenders with Title IX. So let's just take the entire Title IX policy and paste it into the middle of the annual security report. And that's a lot. Right. And some of it is actually not accurate to the VAWA requirements. It's accurate to Title IX. So let's see how ChatGPT does in asking it to summarize. And I'm not going to ask it to do this for a Title IX. It would take too long. Just so you all know, in experimentations, ChatGPT thinks it'll take it an hour or two to do it, and days later, it still hasn't done it. So it is not sophisticated enough to do that. But I'm going to put in a prompt asking it to draft a Clery Act annual security report policy statement summarizing the SUNY Oswego missing persons policy. Now, I'm going to have to assume that it has gone out and found the SUNY Oswego missing person policy statement, which I think it has. And here, it actually does a pretty good job of summarizing it. Now, the nice thing about these ASR policy statements is this is purely a first draft. Right? And then you look at it and you say, this is wrong, this is right, I like this, I don't like this. But we get so concerned about these policy statements and meeting the compliance obligations of the regulations, and for some who follow the handbook of the handbook. And we get so concerned and caught up with that we don't remember, well, it's supposed to be readable, and it's supposed to be useful, and it's supposed to be helpful for folks. And so in some ways, and it's still doing a little bit of work here. We don't have the time on this Zoom to go through and check the accuracy of all of this, but from ones that I've run in the past, it's doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's not quite a summary. I would say this is pretty long, and you can ask ChatGPT to, say this in short, say this faster, say this in fewer words, or rewrite for a, fifth grade audience or something like that. I've asked it to write a short story and then said, all right, now rewrite these instructions for nursery school students. And it simplifies the language or something like that. So, right, you can tailor it to what you need, but it's a great starting point for review. Did you want to talk about what happened when we tried to test its actual Clery Act knowledge?
Yes. So let's set up that conversation a little bit. So, we were talking about this and we said, can it really replace us, right? Are we in a place where the Clery Act is just, it's just words on a screen somewhere, and ChatGPT can do as good or better a job than us in answering Clery Act questions? So we asked it what could be seen as a trick question. Do you need to issue a timely warning for a kidnapping on campus under the Clery Act? And here's what ChatGPT keeps saying, and this is not correct. The reason it's not correct, Andrea?
Well, Joe, is kidnapping what we would call a Part 1 Clery Act crime?
It's not.
Is it a Part 2 Clery Act crime? No,
it also
no part. No part Clery Act crime. And so, if you asked it to write a timely warning for kidnapping, it's like that initial prompt, write a timely warning for a kidnapping that occurred in this place at this time, it would have written one like before. But if you ask it straight out, right, do you need to issue a timely warning? It says yes. So you're gonna play teacher. You're gonna teach. Let's see how ChatGPT responds.
Oh, you know what I love about ChatGPT?
The apologies.
It's so classic.
And how it tells you, you're right, I'm wrong. It's not you, it's me. Kidnapping is not a crime. You're right.
So, do you have to issue a timely warning for a kidnapping under the Clery Act? Whoops.
Did it learn? There we go.
But I've gone through this process with a always classy ChatGPT almost half a dozen times trying to teach it. And what we've discovered is currently ChatGPT is not learning. It is not learning. It is not improving. And so even though we've taught it, it apologized, and you could ask it to apologize more. It would apologize to you. It has no pride. It's great, but it gets it wrong. And that's just one example. We've put in a number of Clery Act questions and it gets them wrong. So first draft of a timely warning emergency notification, first draft of a policy statement, not bad, right? Doesn't harm you in asking it, assuming it remains free, assuming it remains accessible. Asking it to help you comply with the Clery Act, I would exercise a lot of caution. Frankly, I wouldn't use it for that purpose whatsoever.
So let's say this went a different way, and instead of using ChatGPT about the kidnapping, somebody called you or me up and said, hi, could you draft me a timely warning for this kidnapping? So the first thing I would say is, kidnapping is not a Clery crime. You don't need a timely warning. How long has the student been, what are the facts and circumstances here? How long has the student been missing? Because the only Clery Act thing I see here is possibly, and we were talking with with ChatGPT about this with the policy statement summaries is do we need to follow your missing students policy now? Have they been missing for more than 24 hours? What have you done so far? So that, and we didn't see that here in the summary about, oh, sorry, you're right, kidnapping's not a Clery crime, but someone being kidnapped to me means now they're missing, right?
Yeah.
So that I which does implicate the Clery Act, but ChatGPT wasn't able to make that connection yet.
I would also look at state law and your state law reporting obligations, working obviously with local law enforcement, as you pointed out, under the missing persons policy, but you might have state law obligations there as well. I don't think that I would say because you don't have a timely warning obligation, you can go back to bed. You may, as an institution, wish to do a notification around that, but we wouldn't necessarily call it a timely warning, and that's a conversation for another day. But ChatGPT is not at a place yet where it can do the hard work of the folks like all of you who have been working through Clery Act crimes and missing persons and notifications and responses. ChatGPT makes a lot of mistakes around the VAWA amendments to the Clery Act, makes a lot of mistakes around Title IX. There's a lot of things you could put in there. Now, there's some positives, right? Andrea, you've made some great haikus, some great poems about the Clery Act.
Absolutely. I mean, and I've also written some stories for my children about very particular topics because my son likes me to make up stories for him at night, and sometimes I just don't have the creativity. So ChatGPT has really supplemented my parenting.
Yeah. And for that, if nothing else, we are grateful. Andrea, so good to see you, so good to be with you. And we hope that this has been useful for folks out there.
Very good. Thanks, Joe.
Take care.